There's a moment, so subtle that most people miss it. It's the instant when his walls start to crack, when his thoughts shift from, "I'm fine without her," to, "What if I never get her back?" If you see this, it means he's already halfway to missing you, and the pull to come back is stronger than he realizes. You know what's fascinating? That moment when someone goes from acting like they couldn't care less about you to suddenly finding little ways to peek back into your life. At first, it feels like silence, like a big blank space where they've completely erased you. They're not calling, they're not texting, they're not even leaving any breadcrumbs for you to follow. And because of that silence, your mind plays the cruelest tricks. You start thinking, "He's over me, he's moved on, I must have meant nothing." But the truth is, that's rarely what's happening. You see, the first stage after a separation often looks like indifference, but it's not. It's him trying to convince himself that he doesn't feel the loss. Here's what happens under the surface. At the beginning, his ego kicks in. He tells himself, "I'm fine, I'm free, this is easy." He might even distract himself with work, with friends, with anything that gives him a sense of being in control. That's normal. But no matter how strong someone tries to appear, that void you left doesn't just stay quiet forever. Slowly, sometimes so slowly you don't even notice it, there's a shift. It usually starts with curiosity. At first, it's subtle. He's not picking up the phone yet, but he's thinking about it. He's wondering what you're doing, if you're thinking about him, if you're already moving on. That curiosity feels harmless to him, so he lets it in. He might check your social media, scroll through your photos, maybe even replay an old video of you two laughing together. But he doesn't interact, not yet. That's his pride holding the line. Then, little things start happening. He notices a song on the radio that reminds him of that road trip you took together. He walks past the coffee shop where you always ordered the same drink, and it tugs at him unexpectedly. The memories that used to feel comforting now sting because they remind him that those moments aren't happening anymore. And it's in that space between curiosity and nostalgia that he starts to feel the cracks forming. What's important here is not to mistake his silence for lack of emotion. Silence often means he's trying to process his own feelings. He's testing himself. Can he really let go? Can he really live without the connection he had with you? And when that curiosity grows stronger, it pushes him to do small, almost unnoticeable things. He might start watching your Instagram stories, liking a post from 2 weeks ago, or asking a mutual friend, "Hey, how's she doing?" These are not coincidences, they're signals. Signals that the emotional indifference he projected is giving way to something deeper. It's in these moments that he starts to realize you weren't just a chapter in his life. You were the part that made the story worth reading. But here's the crucial part. If you rush in to fill that silence, you rob him of this shift. The more you reach out, the less space he has to feel the full weight of missing you. And let's be honest, it's tempting. You want to send that text. You want to remind him of how good you were together. You want to make sure he doesn't forget you. But the truth is, people don't forget the person who made them feel seen, loved, and valued. If anything, that memory gets louder in the quiet. What happens next is where things get really interesting. Once curiosity has him in its grip, it's almost inevitable that he'll find a way to test the waters. At first, it won't be a grand gesture. It'll be subtle, a text that says, "Hey, just thought about you when I saw this," or a random meme he thinks will make you laugh. Don't be fooled. He's not reaching out just for the sake of conversation. That's his way of asking, "Is the door still open?" When you see this shift, when he moves from silence to curiosity, that's when you know he's starting to miss you. He's beginning to feel the cost of losing you. That moment is powerful because it's no longer about you chasing him or proving your worth. It's about him realizing your worth on his own. So if you're in that quiet stage right now, don't panic. Don't assume his silence means you're forgotten. Often, silence is the space where the seeds of longing are planted, And when they start to grow, you won't have to wonder if he's thinking about you. His actions, however small, will make it clear. You know what happens when someone first walks away? There's this immediate rush of relief they often feel. They tell themselves they're fine, that they made the right choice, that life goes on, and for a while they might even believe it. They fill their days with distractions, friends, hobbies, work, anything to avoid thinking about you. They convince themselves they're free, that they don't miss you, that they've got it all under control. But here's the truth no one talks about. That relief, it's not real, it's temporary. It's like putting a bandage over a wound they haven't even begun to clean. Then comes the shift. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the distractions stop working. The nights feel quieter. The laughter with friends doesn't land the same way. And there's this moment. It's so subtle that even they don't realize it's happening at first. A song comes on that reminds them of you. A smell catches them off guard, and suddenly they're back in that moment. The one where you were laughing together, where your hand was in theirs, where everything felt easy. And here's what's so powerful about nostalgia. It doesn't ask permission. It sneaks in. It paints over the rough edges of the relationship and amplifies the good moments. He doesn't remember the arguments or the doubts right now. He remembers how you made him feel. He remembers your laugh, your touch, the way you looked at him like he was the only person in the world. That memory becomes addictive because it's tied to a feeling of significance, of being seen, of being understood. This is when the internal dialogue begins. He starts asking himself questions he can't ignore. Why do I keep thinking about her? Was it really that bad? Did I take her for granted? And with each question, the grip of nostalgia tightens, because it's not just about missing a person. It's about missing the way he felt when he was with you. And that's a feeling no distraction can replace. That's why you'll notice little signs. He might start liking your posts again. He might check your stories but not say anything. He might ask mutual friends how you're doing, or even bring your name up casually in conversation. These are not coincidences. They're the early cracks in his emotional armor. They're proof that his mind keeps circling back to you even when he's trying to convince himself he's moved on. But the most telling sign of all is when the longing becomes physical. He'll catch himself reaching for his phone late at night, hovering over your number, staring at the screen as if the act of texting you is both terrifying and inevitable. He'll remember the comfort of your presence. Not just the big moments, but the small ones too. The way you made coffee in the morning. The way you curled up next to him on the couch. The way you'd tease him about the things he never admitted to anyone else. And in those moments, he realizes something. No one else has filled that space. No matter how many conversations he's had since, no matter how many people he's met, there's still this quiet ache, this missing piece that only you seem to fit. That realization doesn't just make him miss you, it makes him question everything. This is the power of emotional nostalgia. It's not about the logical reasons why you broke up or the practical obstacles in the way. It's about the emotional imprint you left on him. That part of his heart that felt alive, felt connected, felt like he could be fully himself when he was with you. And once he realizes that, it's hard to unfeel it. It's hard to pretend he's content when deep down, he's not. So if you've been wondering whether he's thinking about you, whether he's starting to feel your absence in ways he can't ignore, the answer lies in the signs, the hesitation, the curiosity, the random attempts to reconnect. Those aren't accidents. They're the ripples of a man who's beginning to understand what he lost. And when nostalgia grips him tightly enough, it won't just make him miss you. It'll make him wonder how much longer he can stay away.
You know, there's this moment people often overlook because it feels so small, so insignificant, but it's the moment that says everything. It's when he reaches out for no apparent reason. Maybe he sends you a text out of nowhere. Hey, I was just thinking about you. Remember that little coffee shop we used to go to? Or maybe it's a meme, a song, or even just a simple, "How are you?" And your first instinct is to think, what does this mean? Is he just being polite? Is he bored?
But let me tell you something, it's not random, it's not casual, it's not meaningless, that random
Message is one of the clearest signs that you're starting to creep back into his mind in a way he can't ignore anymore. Here's what's really happening in that moment. He's been trying to stay strong, to convince himself he's okay, that life without you isn't as bad as it felt in the beginning. He's distracted himself, he's hung out with his friends, he's scrolled endlessly, trying to fill the silence. But here's the thing, silence is dangerous for him, because in silence memories echo. And suddenly, your voice, your laugh, the way you made him feel, those things start playing on repeat in his head, like a song he can't turn off. That text he sends, that's not him being strong. That's him breaking the silence because the weight of missing you is too heavy to carry quietly anymore. That's his first attempt to crack open the door he once slammed shut, and it's a test. He's testing the water, asking himself, does she still care? Will she respond? Is there still a place for me in her world? You have to understand, when a man sends that message, it's rarely about the coffee shop or the meme or the small talk. It's about connection. It's about finding an excuse to re-enter your space without admitting he wants to. Why? Because he's battling his pride. He doesn't want to look weak or needy. He doesn't want to admit to himself that he's the one who misses you now. So he wraps his longing in casual packaging, hoping you won't see how much it's costing him to press send. But let's be honest. You can feel it, can't you? You can feel the energy behind the words, the hesitation, the way it's not just hi, it's I'm still thinking of you, and I don't know how to stay away anymore. That's the moment you realize he's starting to miss you, not just in passing, but in a way that's making him question everything. This is where your power comes in. When you get that message, the temptation is to respond right away, to give him reassurance, to say, I miss you too. But remember, his return isn't real yet. It's a flicker. If you smother it too quickly, it could go out. What you want to do is let him sit with his emotions a little longer. Let him feel the absence of your energy. Let him experience what it's like to long for you fully without immediate comfort. The truth is, when a man starts sending random messages, it's not because he's moved on, it's because he can't. He's wrestling with the fear that he let something precious slip through his fingers. He's replaying old moments in his head and asking himself, was I wrong to let her go? Did I make a mistake? That fear is powerful because it's what leads him to take action. That action may start small, a text, a like, a comment. But if you give him the space to feel that longing deeply enough, it often grows into something more intentional, more vulnerable. You don't need to chase, you don't need to explain, and you definitely don't need to convince him of your worth. He's already starting to see it. That random text means you've already imprinted on his heart in a way that's impossible for him to shake off. And the longer you stay calm, confident, and centered in your value, the more that pull towards you will intensify. So the next time you see his name light up your phone, don't just see it as a message. See it for what it really is, the crack in his armor. The moment where missing you overpowers his pride, the first step towards him coming back, even if he doesn't realize it yet. Because that's what longing does. It makes people reach out, even when they swore they wouldn't. It makes them want to bridge the gap they created. And if he's sending that message now, It means he's already standing on the edge, one step away from realizing he doesn't want a life without you in it. You know what's interesting? Jealousy is often misunderstood. Most people think of it as this toxic, unhealthy emotion, but in reality, it's one of the clearest signs that someone still cares. When he starts to notice your life moving on without him, it ignites something primal in his brain. At first, he might not even understand why he feels it. Why seeing you out with friends, laughing in photos, or glowing in a way he hasn't seen before makes his chest tighten. But that's the moment the shift happens. In the beginning, when he pulled away, he might have felt in control. He convinced himself that stepping back was the right thing to do, or maybe his ego told him you'd always be there waiting if he changed his mind. But now, as he sees you out there not chasing him, not texting him, not even acknowledging his absence, something inside him starts to stir. It's no longer about whether or not he wanted space. It's about the reality that you're not frozen in time waiting for him to come back. You're living, you're smiling, you're growing, and none of it involves him. He won't admit it outright, but it hits him in waves. One moment, he's scrolling and sees your photo pop up. You're out at dinner, your hair looks amazing, you've got that effortless glow about you. The next moment, he's wondering who took the picture. Was it just your friends, or was it someone else? He tells himself not to overthink it, but he does anyway. That's what jealousy does. It slips in quietly, pulling at his confidence, making him question if letting go was really the power move he thought it was. You see, when he starts to feel jealous, it's not necessarily because he thinks you belong to him. It's because he remembers how it felt to have access to your world. And now, for the first time, he's on the outside looking in. That contrast can be brutal. Suddenly, he's not sure if he likes this new dynamic. He's not sure if he's okay with another man making you laugh the way he used to. He starts replaying little moments in his head, the inside jokes, the nights you stayed up talking, the times you made him feel like he mattered. And he wonders if someone else is experiencing that. Now, that's when you'll see the signs. He might watch all your stories, even the random ones you post late at night. He might start liking your pictures again or dropping the occasional comment, testing the waters to see if he still has a place in your attention. And if he sees you posting less about him, or not at all, that's when the jealousy really burns, because now he doesn't know what's happening in your life. The mystery eats at him, and here's the thing, this isn't about playing games. It's not about deliberately making him jealous or trying to manipulate his emotions. It's about you reclaiming your energy, focusing on your growth, and showing, not telling, that your world doesn't stop turning because he's no longer in it. That's what creates the shift in him. That's what makes him realize he could actually lose you for real this time. If he's genuinely missing you, this feeling of jealousy will grow into a desire to reconnect. He'll want to know what you're up to, who you're spending time with, and whether there's still room for him in your heart. It's in these moments, when his curiosity turns into longing, that he starts thinking about coming back. But here's what matters most. Whether or not he does, don't let that determine your worth. Jealousy might be a sign he's about to miss you and come back, but your job isn't to wait around for that to happen. Your power lies in moving forward, not as a strategy to get him back, but because you deserve a life so full and vibrant that anyone would be lucky to be a part of it. And when he does come back, and if he does, it won't be because you begged or convinced him. It'll be because he couldn't stand the thought of a world where he lost you for good. You've probably noticed this before. Someone reaches out, shows interest, and then suddenly pulls away. It's confusing, right? One moment they're liking your pictures, sending little texts that make your heart race, and then out of nowhere, silence. You're left wondering what just happened. Was it something you said? Was it all in your head? But here's the truth. This hot and cold behavior isn't random, and it's not because they've stopped thinking about you. It's actually one of the clearest signs they're starting to miss you, but don't know how to handle it. See, when someone misses you, it isn't always a smooth and confident process where they just march back into your life and say, I made a mistake. Missing someone brings up conflicting emotions. On one hand, there's a pull toward you, the memories, the comfort, the connection, but on the other hand, there's fear. Fear of rejection, fear of looking weak, fear that you've moved on and don't feel the same anymore. So what happens? They reach out impulsively when the longing becomes too strong. Maybe it's a, hey, how have you been? Text late at night. Maybe they watch your stories or like something from weeks ago. It's their way of dipping a toe back in without fully committing. But then they disappear again. That's the push-pull dynamic. It's them testing the waters, feeling the intensity of their emotions, and then retreating when vulnerability hits. They think, wait, what if I'm putting myself out there too much? What if she doesn't care anymore? What if I come back and she rejects me? So they back off not because they don't care, but because caring is scary. This is why you have to understand the difference between someone who's playing games and someone who's caught in this internal tug of war. When it's a game, there's manipulation, there's control. But when it's this, it's more like self-sabotage. They want you, they feel the loss, but their ego and pride are fighting against their heart. And here's where your power lies. Don't chase. When someone is hot and cold, it's easy to get sucked into the roller coaster. You feel their energy come toward you and it sparks hope, so you lean in. Then, when they pull back, you panic and want to close the gap, to reassure them, to fix it, but that's the mistake. If you fill the space they've created, they don't have to face what they're feeling. You rob them of the very discomfort that's forcing them to realize what life feels like without you. The person who's missing you needs time to sit in that discomfort. Every time they scroll through their phone wondering why you haven't reached out, every time they see you smiling and thriving without them, every time they wrestle with the idea that you might never text them again, that's the tension that pushes them closer to a decision. They either step up and come back for real, or they stay stuck in their indecision. But at least then you'll know. What you cannot do is let their inconsistency pull you out of alignment with your own value. Because the moment you chase, you flip the dynamic. Instead of them realizing your absence, they get to believe you're still there waiting. That's not how you inspire someone to come back. It's how you train them to believe they don't have to. So the next time you notice someone being hot and cold, don't overanalyze every little action. Instead,